So today's tutorial is to show you how to read notes on the staff. If you've never read music before, I'll just give you a quick tour of the staff. This is a grand staff, and it's what we use when we play piano. It's got actually two staffs, or two staves. The two staffs are the treble staff and the bass staff. And each staff has 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we can number from the bottom to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the bass 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a bass clef, and it's at the beginning of a bass staff. And this is a treble clef, and it's at the beginning of a treble staff. Basically, treble means high notes and bass means low notes. So if you're thinking about the piano, the treble notes are the notes that are in the higher register, and the bass notes are the ones that are in the lower register. So normally we played bass clef notes with our left hand, and we played treble clef notes with our right hand. Now, so normally we see the treble clef on the top staff, and we see the bass clef on the bottom staff. Truly, this is the right hand's staff, and this is the left hand's staff. So if both hands should happen to be playing higher on the piano, then we would have 2 treble clefs at the beginning of the grand staff. And if both hands were playing lower, then we would have 2 bass clefs at the beginning of the grand staff. But if you don't know how to read notes, we need to start with both the treble clef and the bass clef happening here. So I'm just going to start off with a few important notes. The first one I'm going to show you is in the treble clef. And another name for the treble clef is the G clef. And the reason it's called the G clef, it's not because it looks like a swirly fancy G, it's because it's helpful in helping us locate the note G. And the way it does that is by giving us a target. Right here at the beginning, you can see I've drawn an X with my marker to show how the treble clef is targeting this line. So all along this line here, any note that is written on that line is the note G. If we look down here, we have the bass clef, and another name for the bass clef is the F clef. The reason it's called the F clef is because it helps us find the note F. So the F clef helps us find the line F, and any note that's located along this line will be the note F. So just to clarify, this G is a treble clef G. That means it's a G that's in the higher range of the piano keys, and it specifically is this G. Now I'm sitting in front of middle C, which is right here. So relative to middle C, treble clef G is found here. F clef F is found here. So you can see they're both equal distances from middle C. And you can also see that they're each the same distance away from this middle space. I like to sometimes think about this being the right hand and this being the left hand. And if you were looking in a mirror, imagine that your head was here and these are your shoulders, then this is your right arm and this is your left arm and this is your body. So if you sit with your body directly in front of this range of notes, then your right shoulder and your right arm are in front of these notes, and your left shoulder and your left arm are in front of these notes. So we can play G and F, treble clef G, bass clef F. These are good notes to memorize because they're guide notes. I'll explain more about those after. All right, the note that's exactly in the middle between these two is middle C. So you can see here I've drawn it in the middle, but there wasn't a line to put it on, so I drew my own. That's called a ledger line, and middle C is located in the middle. So usually you're sitting in front of it, and in this case I am. My belly button is right in front of middle C, and this is the note. So now I have 3 notes. I have F in the bass clef, I have middle C, which I can play with my left hand, or I can play with my right hand because it's in the center of my body, and then here is treble clef G. So I can reach all 3 of these notes, and you notice they're all sitting on their own lines. Now, every note has a neighbor on either side, and the notes go C, D, E, F, G. So between C and G, there are 3 notes that are missing. And they are here, here, and here. But you might do the math, and you notice that there's only 1 line in between these notes, and you're right, that's this note. So now we have G, and this note, and C, this note being E. E is on a line. G is on a line. In between the notes, we have F. And the F is in between E and G, and it's in a space right here. I'm going to squish it in there. I didn't leave much room. E, F, G. And then between E and C, E on a line and C on a line, we have another note, which is D. D is also in a space. So now if you look, you'll see what I'm talking about. The D note is not across a line, it's hanging below the line. And the F note is also not across a line, it's in between the first two lines of the treble staff. So between C and G, we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes in total. I can write that out for you again, and it can be a little bit easier to read. Just going to grab another staff. Alright, so starting with just the treble clef notes, we already decided middle C was one of our guide notes, and we have E and we have G on the lines. Now G was easy to find because of living on the second line of the staff, which is the note that the G clef targets for us. Then in between the notes that are on lines, we have these notes which are in spaces. We have D and we have F. So now I can play these. C, line, D, space, E, first line, F, first space, G, second line. If I want to go one note higher, I'm going to land on A. Do you think A is a line note or a space note? We can look at our pattern that's happening here, and we can easily determine that A will be the space note that's above G. So now I was telling you before that these two are guide notes, and the reason they're guide notes is because if I know G and I know it's on the second line, I can easily figure out these two. Knowing that G lives on the second line, I know that the space notes that are touching the second line are F and A, and that they're on either side of G. So that helps us with these. Now, it also helps us with this one, because this is the next line away. And if you notice that the neighbors of a line note are always space notes, then the neighbors of space notes are always line notes. So now going outward further, we've got more line notes. So this is E on a line, and out here I've also got B on a line. So from G, knowing the second line note, I can easily determine E being a skip away or one line down, and I can also determine B because it's one line up from G. Alright, so now from C, I've got line, space, line, space, line, space, line. Now I've got another note here. It's another C. And as you can tell, it's going to be a space note. So here it is. This is treble C. We like to call this one middle C, and we like to call this one treble C because it's in the treble clef. And the next note, of course, is D. D will be a line note. E will be a space note. And the top line of the staff will be F. And it's this F here. So we've got pretty far. Let's try it. We've got line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. So I actually have three favorite guide notes. The first favorite is middle C, because it's easy to figure out and it has its own special line. The second guide note I enjoy using is second line G, because it helps me find F and A, and it also helps me find E and B, because they're one line down and one line up. My other favorite guide note to use is this treble C. And as you'll notice, if I remember this treble C, this gets me almost to the top of the staff. So from treble C, which is a space note, up 3 spaces. Treble C is up in the 3rd space. Then I also know the line notes on either side. So I know B and D, and I know the spaces on either side of the 3rd line. So I know space 2 and space 4, A and E. So playing from the bottom, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line. Now I'll say the notes. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. These are all the notes in the treble clef. Now beginning at middle C, we can go down in the bass clef. So I'm actually going to draw my middle C for left hand over here so I can keep the notes kind of going in the same direction. So here's my left hand playing middle C, and now if I go down one note, it'll be on a space and it'll be just sitting up above the staff here. This note is B. So we have C, B, and then we'll go down one more, and that gives us A on a line. And just to reinforce that we have this F line in the F clef, it's also 2 lines down from the middle, just as our 2 lines up treble G was. We have 2 lines down bass F. So here is my guide note F on a line, and sandwiched in between is a space note G. So starting here, I've got C, B, A, G, F. And so between these 2 guide notes, there are 3 notes, and there are 2 of them spaces and 1 of them a line. So focusing on the guide notes, we could easily determine this one. It's a neighbor away from the one F that we've learned. Up 1 from F is G. This one, we can determine either from the second line down or from middle C. Either way, it's a line away, so it's a skip. So from C, we would skip a note and land on the next line. Or from F, we would skip a note and land on the next line. So this note is A. And if we haven't memorized B by itself, we can also compare this to middle C. Middle C is on a line, B is 1 space down, so it's a neighbor of middle C. Let's keep going. Here we have bass F. We're going to go down a space to E, and then down a line to D, then go down a space to C, down a line to B. Now I'm going to stop for a minute because there's getting to be an awful lot of notes here that are going to be hard to figure out from F. So we've got another guide note, and this is my other favorite, and it's bass clef C. So just as treble clef C was 3 spaces up, bass clef C is 3 spaces down. So these C's are a mirror image away from the center of the staff. And so this bass clef C now is going to help me with its 2 line note neighbors, and it's going to help me with 2 space note neighbors. So the first one that it's going to help me with is a skip above C, and a skip above C will skip 1 note and land on E, and this space note is a skip below C. Here's C, down and skip, will take us down to A. And there's only 1 note left on the bottom here, and it's G. So now we have the entire staff of notes, but we can read them all in reference to these 5 guide notes. Now I say 5 because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is really the same note, isn't it? It's middle C, and it's here in the middle of the staff. I've written it closer to the bass clef because I'm playing it with my left hand, and the bass staff right now is being played always with the left hand, and the top staff, in this case the treble staff, is always being played with the right hand. So we've got 5 guide notes, but that helps us to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 notes. If you can memorize those 5 notes and their placement on the staff and the keys, you can figure out every other note in the staff range. Low G, like the ground. High F, like a flag flying in the sky. From the ground to the flag. That's a good way to remember those 2 outside notes. G is the ground, F is the flag. So we can go G, A, B, bass C, D, E, bass F, G, A, B, C. Taking the same C with my right hand. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, up to my flag. Now I've read every line in space note on the grand staff.